Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're embarking on a journey deep into the past, into the frozen world of the last ice age. We're not looking for mammoths or saber-toothed cats. We're looking for the origin story of an animal that, for many of us, is sleeping at the foot of our bed right now. This is the story of how humanity's best friend came to be, an extraordinary partnership that began more than 14,000 years ago. It's a tale of coevolution, scientific mystery, and a bond that has indelibly shaped human history. To start, let's travel back to 1914 to a limestone quarry near Bonn, Germany. Workers there uncovered something remarkable, a double grave. Inside lay the skeletons of a man and a woman from the Paleolithic era, but they weren't alone. Buried with them, with the same level of care and ceremony, were the remains of a young canine. This finding, now known as the Bonn Oberkassel dog, is widely considered the earliest undisputed evidence we have of a domesticated dog. Dated to roughly 200 years ago, its significance goes far beyond its age. The entire burial was a ritual. The man, the woman, and the dog were all sprayed with a red hematite powder and interred under large, heavy basalt blocks. This wasn't a case of an animal just being discarded. This was a funeral. It speaks volumes about the place this canine held in the hearts of these Ice Age people. And when scientists took a closer look at the dog's remains, the story became even more poignant. The pup was young, only about 27 or 28 weeks old when it died. Pathological analysis of its teeth revealed it had suffered from a severe case of canine distemper. This is a brutal viral infection, one that would have caused debilitating symptoms like high fever, seizures, and digestive distress. Scientists believe that without intensive human care, this young dog simply would not have survived as long as it did. The evidence suggests these Paleolithic humans nursed it through its illness. They must have kept it warm, brought it food and water, and comforted it through multiple waves of the disease. The fact that they then buried it with the same reverence as their own kind hints at a deep emotional bond, a relationship that transcended mere utility. This wasn't a tool, this was a cherished member of the family. Physically, the Bonn Oberkassel dog's skeleton, particularly its jaw, confirmed its status as a domestic dog rather than a wolf, solidifying its place as a key piece of the domestication puzzle. This one grave provides a stunningly clear snapshot of a human-animal bond, proving that deep affection for our canine companions is not a modern sentiment. But this single, powerful story is just one scene in a much larger epic. To understand the full narrative of dog domestication, we have to zoom out and look at the tangled web of genetic history. For a long time, the when, where, and how of it all were shrouded in mystery. Thanks to modern genetics, the curtain is being pulled back. We now know that dogs are not descended from the modern gray wolves we see today. Instead, their lineage split from an extinct wolf population somewhere between 27,000 and 40,000 years ago. This divergence marks the absolute latest point that the process of domestication could have begun. The most current research, including a major review in 2021, points towards a single origin for our canine companions. The likely location? Ice Age Siberia. The theory suggests that ancient North Siberians began the process of domesticating wolves somewhere between 19,000 and 23,000 years ago. From this Siberian cradle, dogs began to spread across the globe, trotting alongside their human partners. They moved eastwards, accompanying the first people to cross the Bering Land Bridge into the Americas, and they moved westwards, spreading across Eurasia. What's truly incredible is the diversity that emerged so quickly. By 11,000 years ago, at the very end of the Ice Age, geneticists have identified at least 5 distinct and separate dog ancestry lineages. This was long before the advent of agriculture or the first settled villages. The huge variation we see in dog breeds today, from Great Danes to Chihuahuas, has its roots in this ancient diversification that happened deep in the Stone Age. This leads us to one of the most fascinating debates in the field. How did this all start? How do you turn a wild, apex predator into a loyal companion? Two main hypotheses compete to explain it. The first is the commensal scavenger hypothesis. In this scenario, wolves essentially domesticated themselves. The theory goes that less fearful, more opportunistic wolves began hanging around human hunter-gatherer camps, feeding on discarded food scraps. Over many generations, natural selection would have favored the wolves that were most tolerant of humans. A symbiotic relationship would develop. Wolves get easy meals, and humans get a furry alarm system that wards off other predators. However, some scholars raise a valid point against this. Pleistocene hunter-gatherers were highly nomadic. They didn't stay in one place long enough to create the massive, reliable garbage dumps that would be needed to sustain a resident wolf population. This skepticism gives rise to the second major theory, the human-initiated model, also known as the pup adoption hypothesis. This paints a much more active, intentional picture. It suggests that our ancestors went out and deliberately took wolf pups from their dens. The motivations could have been numerous. Perhaps it was for companionship, a desire for a pet. Maybe it was for ritualistic purposes. Or perhaps it was purely practical, to raise the pups as hunting partners. The key to this theory is the social nature of wolves. A wolf pup, taken at a young age, can bond deeply with humans, accepting them as its pack. This inherent sociality would have made the process of taming and integration possible. The path to scientific truth, however, is rarely a straight line. It's often filled with tantalizing clues that turn out to be red herrings. A perfect example of this is the case of the Tumat puppies. Found in the Siberian permafrost, these were two exceptionally well-preserved canid bodies, dated to over 14,000 years ago. The discovery near a site with evidence of human activity fueled immense excitement. Were these more early dogs, or perhaps wolves in the process of being tamed? The initial hope was that they would provide a new window into early domestication, but when advanced scientific techniques were applied, the story changed completely. Detailed genetic and isotopic analysis revealed that the Tumat canids were, in fact, wolf cubs, not early dogs. A look into their stomach contents found the remains of a woolly rhinoceros, not scraps from a human camp. It seems the cubs were living a wild existence and likely died when their den collapsed. The Tumat story is a crucial lesson in scientific caution. It reminds us how difficult it can be to distinguish early dogs from their wolf relatives based on bones alone, and it highlights the immense power of modern genetics to clarify the fossil record. And it's this field, paleogenomics, that has truly revolutionized our understanding. The ability to sequence the DNA of ancient animals is like having a genetic time machine. A landmark study in 2020 sequenced the full genomes of 27 ancient dogs, some dating back nearly 11,000 years. The results were astounding. They confirmed that all dogs, everywhere, share a common ancestry from a single extinct wolf population. After this initial split, there was very little gene flow from wolves back into the dog population, but a lot of dog DNA flowed into wolf populations. This suggests that once dogs became dogs, they largely stayed a distinct group. The study also painted a complex picture of ancient canine migrations that mirrored human movements. For example, the DNA of early European dogs showed a mix of ancestries related to dogs from the ancient Near East and from Siberia. As people moved, mixed, and migrated, their dogs did too. This genetic tapestry reveals that domestication wasn't a single, discrete event, but a long and complex process that unfolded over thousands of years across vast landscapes. So what is the legacy of these Ice Age pups? From the single cherished companion buried with its human family at Bonn-Ober Castle, to the genetic trails left in ancient bones across continents, the story of the dog is our story. It shows that our unique partnership with a large carnivore began not with the rise of civilization, but in the harsh, challenging world of the Pleistocene. It was a bond forged in ice and survival. The next time you look at your dog, curled up on the couch, remember that the deep connection you feel is an echo of a relationship tens of thousands of years in the making. It's a living legacy of the Ice Age pups who first chose, or were chosen, to walk beside us, and in doing so changed our world and their own forever.